Woo! Baby, the Bears did it. They traded the number 1 overall draft pick to the Carolina Panthers for the number 9 overall draft pick, to the number 61 overall draft pick, a 2024 first round pick, a 2025 second round pick, and DJ Moore. Man, I'm excited as a Bears fan. Before we get into the video, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, where we are on our way to 1,000 subscribers. The second I hit 1,000 subscribers, we have a lot of big announcements coming out. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. I am so excited. If you're a Bears fan, come on, help a fellow Bears fan out and hit that subscribe button. Like the video if you enjoy it, and let me know your opinions. This is the most important video to comment on. I'm so excited and really want to know your thoughts and opinions on it. But man, let's get into this trade. So to start off, the biggest piece in this trade, in my personal opinion, is DJ Moore. With the addition of DJ Moore, you have a number 1 wide receiver for the first time in Chicago since Allen Robinson in 2018. Because Justin Fields now has a number 1 wide receiver, has Darnell Mooney as a number 2, and Chase Claypool as a number 3, with St. Brown as a number 4. Like, guys, this wide receiver room just went from one of the worst, if not the worst in the NFL, to a top half of the league to top third of the league unit, because DJ Moore has had 1,000 yards season each of the last 3 years, except for the past year where he had 800, because they were raiding the local homeless shelter for quarterbacks. Like, this is a wide receiver number 1. This is the biggest part of the trade, in my opinion, is that you got a number 1 wide receiver. Because you have a number 1 wide receiver that doesn't take up that much cap. I think it's about $12 million in cap, which brings the Bears down to about $90 or $82 million in cap, which they can still get some more cap space by cutting a Cody Whitehair or stuff like that, but we'll get to that in a second. Now that you have all that, you now have the number 9 overall draft pick, you have the number 61 overall draft pick, and we're just going to focus on this year. You also add that first round pick, so you'd have 2 first round picks next year at a minimum. We could see, if the Bears don't like any of the players at number 9, you could see another trade down. Seeing what Ryan Poles has done recently, I wouldn't be shocked for another trade down if he doesn't have a guy that he likes fall to that number 9 slot, maybe trading back with the Packers at number 15 or the Bucks at number 19, I believe is what the Bucks have. So I would not be surprised if you have another trade back, especially if another quarterback like Richardson falls or Levis falls to 9. I really would not be surprised if the Bears trade another quarterback. But here's the point with this. You have the ability now to take a guard in Peter Skoronski, a guard / tackle, whether you want him to be left guard, whether you want him to be right tackle. And then you can take John Michael Schmitz. This is my opinion. I'm going to do a mock draft tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a mock draft day for the Chicago Bears. That would assure your offensive line. But you also now have the ability to go after a defensive line as well. You can go after a Tyree Wilson. You can go after maybe a Myles Murphy. I know that recently Myles Murphy has really started to fall off draft boards, but we'll kind of see where it goes. You also have his teammate in Brian Bresee. You have other guys. It's going to get really interesting in these next couple of weeks to see where they go. Plus, you have an NFL offseason with $82 million in cap space. The next closest person, I think, has $64 million. That's $18 million more than anybody else in the NFL. And the Falcons, which have the $64 million, the next closest one is like 32. Like, it is such a massive jump for the Bears compared to everybody else. They can get whoever they want in free agency. It does not matter the price tag, really. So, now that you have that, your wide receiver, to be honest, if you want to get a wide receiver in the 5th or the 6th round because their best player available or BPA, okay, go ahead and do that. I don't think it really matters that much. I think if you want to get one, you can get one, but it's not necessary now. Wide receiver is completely taken off as a position of need for this team. You don't need a running back. You don't need a quarterback. You don't need a secondary, really. Like, you need a cornerback too, but that's a position that you can address in either free agency or the draft. And that's not really important. You need another linebacker. But now you can just focus on the trenches and the trenches alone. You do need an entire defensive line. Your defensive line is trash. But point being is this. If you're here for draft coverage specifically, I'm going to give out grades, and then I'm going to focus on another couple aspects for the Panthers and then recap, summarize. So for the trade grades, the Bears, I am going to give them an A, just a flat out A, and not an A plus, because I really would have liked if you could have gotten maybe that second round pick to be next year, or if you got a third rounder next year or this year, like another extra pick. I think you just needed a little bit more to make it an A plus, because you are going down from 1 to 9. And a couple of years ago, you had the Dolphins trade from 3 to 12, and the Niners gave up 3 first-round draft picks, and DJ Moore counts as a first-round draft pick at a minimum. He's a number 1 wide receiver. So I think that you are getting 3 first-round pick values. So I think that you are getting kind of similar, plus you're getting 2 second-round picks and stuff like that, but I'm going to give them an A. For the Carolina Panthers, I'm going to give them a B. Here's the thing. I think that no matter what, they were going to trade up to get whatever quarterback that Frank Reich wanted, whether that was trading up to 3 with the Cardinals or 1 with the Bears or 5 with the Seahawks. I think that they were going to trade up because, well, Frank Reich does not want another journeyman quarterback. That is the very last. He doesn't want Sam Darnold. He doesn't want Baker Mayfield. I know they don't have Baker Mayfield anymore, but he doesn't want another journeyman quarterback because he's already had that experience. And that's the reason why he got fired in Indianapolis, was because he couldn't fix the quarterback position. So, and to be honest, that was more Chris Ballard's fault, the GM for the Colts, than it was Frank Reich's fault, in my personal opinion. So Carolina, you gave up a lot. You gave up a first, you gave up a number 1 wide receiver. You gave up 2 first round, 2 second round. But to be fair, that is the price you pay for getting the number 1 overall draft pick. But I do think that the Bears probably edged out a win in this trade. But I think it's more that the Bears were in a better position to begin with than it was anything to do with Panthers. Panthers, you're going to have to give up a lot. But I don't know. Maybe the Panthers deserve a B plus if they get their guy. But really it all hinges on who do they get and how good. I've also seen a couple of reports. I have no idea how real the reports are, stuff like that, but the Panthers may consider trading down a couple spots, probably with the Texans, to move from 1 to 2 in order to hopefully recoup some draft pick losses. And if they do that, then I would probably bump it up to a B plus or maybe even an A minus if you go from 1 to 2 and you maybe add an extra second round pick, because you did get a second round pick in the Christian McCaffrey trade, but you also had the Sam Darnold trade where you lost some picks. So that's going to be it on that end with the trade grades and the Panthers. Basically, I think the Panthers are in a good position. It all hinges on this quarterback, obviously. But I think you put yourself in a position that if you get the quarterback right, then you're in a good position. I think the team has a solid-ish I think they have solid pieces on the offensive line, I should say. They do have some solid wide receivers. Their defense, I think you have some solid pieces. J.C. Horn's good. Jeremy Chen's good. Brian Burns. Not Derek Hall. The Auburn defensive tackle. Derek Brown. You have some good pieces there. We'll see whether they can continue to develop. I do think, I personally like the Frank Reich hire. I don't think that he failed in Indianapolis due to any of his own fault, or at least fully. I don't think it was all fully his fault, but I do think that he is a good coach. And when he had Andrew Luck that 1 year, he did a lot. And even when he had old Phillip Rivers, he got him to the playoffs and did well. So that is going to pretty much wrap up today's video. There will be a mock draft for the Bears out tomorrow. We'll see. We may have a guest on as well. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button. 1,000 subscribers, guys. 1,000. Let's go, baby. The Bears have traded and got massive capital back. That's all for today's video, and as always, bear down.